The courtroom smelled like old wood and expectations. Fluorescent lights hummed. A bailiff coughed into a fist. A woman in a thrift store blazer and scuffed heels slid into the chair at counsel's table and placed a battered notebook beside a city-provided water pitcher. Her braids were pinned into a steady crown. Her eyes were not asking anyone's permission to exist. From the gallery, a hiss of whispers. From the prosecutor, a glance that measured and dismissed. From the clerk, a delayed miss, ma'am, that's reserved for counsel. The woman didn't flinch. She lifted a card from her notebook and let it breathe on the table. No one leaned close enough to read it, not yet. Ms. Rowe, the clerk tried again. Defendants wait over there. The woman, Imani Rowe turned one page in her notebook. I'll wait right here, she said softly. I'll be speaking shortly. The prosecutor chuckled without sound. The judge, Eleanor Klein raised one eyebrow the way women do when they've outlived everyone's nonsense twice. Let's begin, Judge Klein said, gavel tapping once like a heartbeat. People v. Dawes, calendar call. The defendant, Marcus Dawes a mechanic with oil's memory on his hands, watched Imani as if she were a last door in a burning house. He didn't know her. Not yet. He only knew that the public defender had missed 2 hearings and that the city wanted him guilty so the paperwork could go still. The clerk cleared a throat that had weather in it. Defense counsel of record is absent, Your Honor. A silence, then the prosecutor's smile sharpened. We can proceed on the failure to appear, he offered. The people have witnesses ready. Imani capped her pen, stood, and finally let everyone read the card. There was a beat where disbelief tried to push past comprehension and failed. The first spark. Special counsel, the prosecutor repeated, like a man tasting a word with too many syllables. Imani's voice was calm. By order filed under seal at 8:43 this morning, Your Honor, I'm here on a limited appointment. Judge Klein's eyes didn't move from Imani's face. Limited to what, Ms. Rowe? Integrity audit, Imani said. Specifically, the handling of indigent defense assignments and courtroom practices that may prejudice outcomes. The gallery rustled. Words like audit and integrity don't behave well in rooms built on habit. Ms. Rowe, the prosecutor said, smoothing a tie that didn't need it, this is a simple carjacking with a resisting count and a prior, open and shut. Imani leaned one knuckle on the table like a chess player touching wood to read the grain. Open and shut cases don't need missing lawyers, she said, and they don't need 3 contradictory police reports. Judge Klein tapped her gavel, but lightly, like she was asking the room to choose its next words carefully. Proceed cautiously, she said. Ms. Rowe, you're standing. By the court's discretion and the commission's order, Imani said, and by the defendant's consent. She handed Marcus a form. He signed with a hand that had learned to make engines honest. The pen didn't shake. The prosecutor, Evan Cormack spread his file like a stage magician about to reveal a bird that was actually a handkerchief. We have a victim, an eyewitness, dashcam footage, and an officer injured during arrest. Imani's eyes didn't leave the judge. We have a victim, a camera that malfunctioned at the exact second useful truth would have been born, an eyewitness who can't describe the alleged assailant's shoes, and an officer who was injured by his own door in rain he forgot to mention. The courtroom adjusted the volume of its breathing. Judge Klein sat back. Ms. Rowe, you're testing my patience and my curiosity. Proceed. Hallway law, the second spark. At recess, the hallway's tile echoed the language of war, heels, cell phones, whispers turned weapons. Imani walked straight, unhurried, like a blade carried in a velvet sheath. Cormac caught up with a smile that asked to be believed. Look, he said, I know the commission likes to flex, but we've all got jobs to do. The defendant is a repeat. Imani tilted her head. You misread my job. It isn't to flex, it's to measure. Measure what? How justice behaves when no one's filming, she said. So far it slouches. He tried charm next, like a man reaching for a tool and finding a mirror. If you're angling for headlines. I'm angling for protocols, she said. You can keep the headlines, they break easy. He lowered his voice. You step on my case, you'll regret it. Imani smiled without teeth. If your case can't hold my questions, it didn't have legs. Where did you even come from? He asked, like prejudice had a passport. From the factory floor and the night shift and the corner of rooms no one checks, she said. And from the one place men hate to see women arrive, authority. Cormac's eyes cooled. Be careful, Ms. Rowe. Be correct, Mr. Cormac, she said and returned to court. Pretrial The manifest. Imani moved with surgical precision. Defense is ready to proceed on a motion to compel production and to suppress, she said, voice crisp as a starched shirt. We request dashcam metadata, bodycam raw files, precinct radio logs between 21:00 and 22:00 and the chain of custody log for the physical evidence. Cormac sighed for the jury he wished were there. Fishing expedition. Imani held up a page. Not fishing, a map. The state's discovery letter says the dashcam malfunctioned coincidentally during the altercation. The maintenance log says the same unit was serviced 2 days prior by a contractor under investigation for falsifying uptime reports, and the bodycam file you gave us has a 6-minute gap that the software labels as reindexing. Reindexing does not erase audio, it masks it. A ripple, even the court reporter's fingers paused like birds on a line. Judge Klein's gaze sharpened. Mr. Cormac. We'll follow up with the precinct, he said. You'll follow up by 4 o'clock, the judge replied. Motion to compel is granted. As to suppression, Ms. Rowe. Imani set down a small, heavy thing. A printed transcript of Marcus's interrogation, the top corner coffee stained, the margin annotated with a patience that cut deeper than anger. The defendant invoked counsel 3 times, she said. The officer kept speaking. He referenced a prior that the court has ruled inadmissible for this trial. He offered a deal he had no power to offer. He said, and I quote, if you don't cooperate, this judge does like your kind and she'll throw the book. A collective inhale, the judge's jaw worked once, he said that. It's in the transcript, Imani replied. And it's in the audio *** before the reindexing begins. Cormac tried to strike, fluster rising like heat. Your Honor, we can't. You can sit, Judge Klein said, voice iron. She turned to Imani. Why are you really here, Ms. Rowe? Imani didn't blink, because this courthouse forgot its second thought. The witness who didn't look. They put the eyewitness on the stand, a thin man named Trevor Holt, whose nervous habit was rearranging his own fingers. Mr. Holt, Imani said, gentle as a lullaby, how far were you from the scene? Across the street, he said. It was raining, streetlight was out. What time? After 9. What were you wearing? He blinked, a jacket. Imani nodded. What color shoes did the assailant wear? Black, he said quickly. Imani looked at the jury box that was still empty at the gallery standing in for it. You didn't see the shoes, Mr. Holt, because you didn't look at the ground, you looked at the noise. Humans do that in storms. Cormac objected. Speculation. Sustained, Judge Klein said. Ask a question, Ms. Rowe. What did you do for work, Mr. Holt? Imani asked. Dishwasher, he said, at Bonnie on Lexington. You walk to work? Yes. You buy those shoes? She asked, nodding toward his feet, white soles, cheap canvas. He flushed. Yeah. Do you like them? He frowned. They keep my feet dry, sometimes. Imani smiled small. I believe you. Did anyone ask you if you were sure? About the ID? About anything. He looked at Cormac, then away. They said they had the right guy, they just needed me to sign. Do you want to be sure? Imani asked. Something changed in his face. Yes, he whispered. Imani slid a photo onto the rail. Do these shoes look black in the rain to you? They were navy. The camera had lied. The rain had agreed. Trevor swallowed. I don't know. That's an honest answer, Imani said, and let the room feel the ground shift 1 inch toward truth. The officer who forgot the weather. Officer *** Reardon took the stand with the calm of a man who believes uniforms are arguments that carry their own gavel. Officer, Imani said, you wrote that the dashcam malfunctioned. Yes. And that you slipped because the suspect jerked the door. Yes. Which foot did you slip on? He stared. My left. She flipped the photo from the tow yard. Driver's side door dented inward, mud sprayed in an arc that knew which direction gravity had chosen. Show the court how, she said, offering him a masking tape X on the floor like a stage manager. He tried, and physics betrayed him. The angle was wrong unless the door was already open, unless a man had slipped in rain that didn't exist on his report, unless something he'd rehearsed failed in front of an audience that no longer offered applause on credit. Imani's voice stayed gentle. You were tired, it was raining, the door caught you, you fell, it hurt. That's human. What is writing the pain as the defendant's fault because it makes better paperwork. Cormac sputtered, Your Honor. Sit, Mr. Cormac, Judge Klein said. Officer, did you mention rain in your report? No, he said small. Did it rain? Imani asked. Yes, he whispered. Thank you, she said, and let him step down like a man carrying a door only he could see. The missing lawyer. Imani requested a bench conference. Your Honor, the public defender of record, Mr. Stanford ***, has missed multiple hearings. I'd like to call him. You can subpoena him, the judge asked. Imani held up her notebook. He's here, she said. In the back, he came to watch the fire. He started warm his hands. A hush like a confession. Stanford, a man with a tie creased like a map to nowhere, shuffled forward. Mr. Stanford, Imani said, how many open cases do you carry? Too many, he said. How many missed hearings this quarter? He looked at his shoes. 9. What did you do with the retainer you requested from Marcus's family? She asked. Cormac stood, irrelevant. Overruled, Judge Klein said, eyes on Stanford. He swallowed. There is no retainer, it's a public office. Imani slid a receipt across the rail, handwritten, a lie that charged the poor for public services. His sister paid you $400 in cash to file paperwork faster. You gave her this. Stanford's mouth opened, closed. You weaponized their fear, Imani said quietly, and you sold them a shortcut that led to a wall. Stanford looked at the judge like a child peeking over a fence. Save it, Judge Klein said. Ms. Rowe, you may proceed. Imani turned to the gallery, to Marcus, to the idea that had brought her here on a sealed order and a promise to her dead father that she would set rooms on fire until paper learned to tell the truth. The court has 2 problems, she said, a case missing pieces, and a system missing second thoughts. The file that shouldn't exist. 4 o'clock came, the precinct delivered a drive with the clean panic of fresh compliance. Imani loaded it on a court laptop. Raw body cam, dashcam metadata, radio logs. She clicked. The 6-minute gap wasn't a gap after all. It was an *** overlay *** audio track shunted under a layer of silence labeled reindex. She removed the layer with a keystroke learned in a class she'd taken at night in a lab that smelled like old soda and new code. The room listened. On the hidden audio, rain, Officer Reardon cursing, a sergeant whispering, we can fix this, and then a line that landed like a gavel to the heart. Don't worry, kid, the judge does like his kind. The room went still, not silent, still like a photograph taken of a collective realization. Judge Klein's face did not move for a long time. When it did, it moved only enough to say, play it again. Imani did, the words were the same, the room was not. Cormac rubbed his forehead with the back of his hand as if surprised by its weight. I wasn't aware, he said. He sounded like a man learning gravity. Imani looked at him and then at the judge. Suppression, she said simply. Granted, the judge replied, voice a controlled burn. And I'm referring this record to Internal Affairs and the Commission. Officer Reardon is suspended from courtroom testimony pending review. The sergeant's identity will be confirmed and dealt with accordingly. She turned to Marcus. Mr. Dawes, I'm sorry, that apology is a receipt, not a remedy, but it's the first thing I can offer. Marcus nodded once. Men who fix engines know what sincerity sounds like. It sounds like someone tightening a bolt instead of promising they'll learn how. The deal that died. Cormac tried to salvage dignity by offering a plea to a disorderly for time served. It drifted across the table like a paper boat. Imani shook her head. You don't offer paper boats in a flood, dismiss. He swallowed. Without prejudice, he tried. She held his eyes. With prejudice, she said, you don't get to rebuild this with cleaner lies. Judge Klein considered the ceiling, the floor, the years she had spent trying to keep this building noble. Dismissed with prejudice, she said, the gavel tapped twice. It sounded like a man unlearning something and a room choosing to remember. Mr. Dawes, you are free to go. Marcus didn't stand, not yet. Freedom is a door that opens slowly when you've been taught to expect walls. The back hallway where truths change clothes. In the back hallway, where fluorescent lights buzz and no journalist bothers to check, Cormac leaned against a vending machine like a man who had discovered his reflection had been lying. "Why are you really here?" he asked Imani, not with scorn this time, but with the curiosity of a man who felt the shape of his job change under his shoes. Imani took a breath and let an old story surface. "My father worked nights," she said. "He got hurt at the plant, signed papers he couldn't read because someone in a tie told him he didn't belong in the line to ask questions. We fought a claim for 2 years. We lost because the system likes people who speak its dialect. I learned the dialect. Now I write it down and hand it to people who need it." He stared at the tiled floor. "You're going to burn our office down." "No," she said, "I'm going to install sprinklers." He half laughed despite himself. "You made me look like a villain in there." "You made yourself look like a professional who didn't check," she said. "Those are different things. One is fixable." He nodded slowly. "I'll fix it," he said, and for once the promise wasn't theater. The boots that walked in. As the courtroom emptied, a woman in a suit that cost more than the defense table slid in through the side door, escorted by a deputy who didn't know what to do with people who moved like weather. "Ms. Rowe," the woman asked. "I'm Vivian Blackstone ***. I chair the commission. I wanted to see your work." Imani raised an eyebrow. "Thought you preferred the sealed file to the messy room." Vivian's smile was all blade and velvet. "I like to watch the screws tighten," she said, "and I like to invite people to bigger rooms." Imani didn't incline her head. She had learned early that nodding too easily made doors take back their hinges. "Bigger how?" "Task force," Vivian said. "Statewide, courtroom protocols, data transparency, funding for public defense that can't be siphoned into favors, protections for defendants when counsel misses a beat, and a ritual that fits behind a badge and under a robe." Imani's mouth quirked. "I like rituals." "I know," Vivian said. "I read your work in the transit courts. The second thought protocol, we can build its courtroom twin. We'll call it the third read ****. Imani's eyes warmed. "First read, the file says he did it. Second read, the system says it's routine. Third read, what's missing, who's tired, what rain didn't make the report." Vivian extended a card. "Start Monday." Imani took it but didn't pocket it yet. "I don't build things for people who want credit. I build them for people who want fewer apologies." "Good," Vivian said. "Apologies are receipts, not repair." They shook hands. Somewhere, a bailiff turned off a light and turned a key and didn't know he had just locked a room that would open wider next week. The night shift, BLUPRINTS in the dark. Imani didn't go home. She walked to a diner where Greece had a lineage and the waitress called everyone baby with the discretion of a ledger. She spread the day's debris on the table, notes, copies, a photo of a rain-slicked door. She ordered coffee that could clean paint and wrote 3 headings on a napkin. Protocol protection proof. Under protocol she wrote, "Mandatory counsel check at every appearance, roll call with a real-time board. Audio integrity audit, no reindexing without an independent log. Bench script for we will verify before proceeding." Under protection she wrote, "Alternate counsel pool on standby funded. Defendant's rights card, 4th grade reading level, handed and read aloud. Sanction ladder for counsel who sell fear." Under proof she wrote, "Automatic release of metadata to defense within 24 hours. Independent host for dash and bodycam files. Rain log city weather feed, auto-match to reports." The waitress slid a slice of pie next to the napkin like a witness entering the record. "You look like you're winning, baby," she said. "Not yet," Imani replied. "I'm building something that wins without me." The waitress smiled. "That's the only thing worth building." Training day, ritual over theater. A week later, in a basement room where bailiffs practiced voice and clerks practiced patience, Imani stood before 30 people who made courthouses breathe. She held a laminated card the size of a hand and the weight of a promise. "First read," she said, and they answered, "the file." "Second read," she said, and they answered, "the routine." "Third read," she said, and they said nothing, which was the correct answer, because the third read is a question, not a chant. They ran scenarios in silence before voicing them. A defendant with a missed lawyer, a witness whose ID was a fog's memory, a cop whose report forgot the weather. Each time they paused at the **** third read * and asked, "What's missing? Who's tired? What rain didn't make the report? A bailiff raised a hand. What do we do when the judge is the missing piece? He asked. Imani met his eyes. We write it down, she said. We escalate, and if the system punishes you for that, we protect you. Courtrooms are not kingdoms, they're kitchens. If the food is bad, you change the recipe. If the stove is broken, you fix it or you stop calling it a restaurant. They laughed in the way people laugh when they recognize a blueprint they can actually build. The counterpunch pushback ARRIVES. Local talk radio called Imani a courtroom activist. A city council member asked who gave the commission the right to embarrass officers. A police union lawyer threatened to sue the rain for defamation. Imani didn't do interviews, Vivian did one. She said, "We're not anti-police, we're anti-laziness." The clip went small viral, then drifted under the waves where real work lives. Cormac sent an email that said, "I'm implementing an internal third read in our office. Quietly, thank you." Imani replied, "Quiet is good, metrics are better." He sent a spreadsheet before noon. Marcus got his job back at the garage. A sign appeared near the time clock, "We fix what people break on purpose ****. His sister framed the receipt she'd given a crooked lawyer and wrote on the mat, "**apologies are RECEIPTS, repair is policy." She laughed when she hung it, then she cried because repair is heavy and worth it. The return, another case, same room. 2 months later, Imani returned to courtroom 4A for a case with a different last name and the same first problem, a defendant sitting alone. But the room had learned. The clerk's new script said, "If counsel is absent, we pause and verify." The bailiff's tone had a cushion built into it. The judge, not Klein this time, asked for the rain report before accepting a late entry in a police file that swore the sky was clear. Imani sat in the gallery and didn't stand. She didn't need to, the ritual moved without her. She watched an assistant DA, fresh hair, fighting the afternoon pause at the second read and ask her investigator a quiet question. The investigator left and returned with a body cam clip that had a familiar reindex mask. The ADA didn't try to sell it. He said into the mic, "We'll withdraw without prejudice and review," and the room exhaled in a way that said oxygen had been restored. Imani smiled into her notebook. Above protocol, protection, proof, she wrote a fourth word, "practice." Cinematic closing monologue, the third read. Voiceover low and steady, built for a share button and a long memory. Courthouses are engines, they run on habit. Habit will take you places it shouldn't if you never lift the hood. Someone tells you a man belongs in a cage, someone else says he belongs at counsel's table. In between those sentences there's rain no one wrote down and a door that hurt a man who didn't know how to say pain without pointing at the nearest body. The first read is what the file says, the second is what the routine says, the third is what the truth says when you make a chair for it. We don't go viral for choosing protocol over pride. No one edits a clip where a clerk waits 2 minutes to verify a lawyer is coming, but a world gets safer in those 2 minutes. A man keeps his job, a sister keeps her cash, a judge remembers that robes are uniforms, not armor. My name is Imani Rowe. I don't punish rooms, I install rituals. If you see me near a gavel, know this: I am not there to win headlines, I am there to teach paperwork to tell the truth. And when the storm comes, and it always does, I will ask for a third read, tighten a screw, and watch a courtroom remember how to breathe. Fade on a yellowed ceiling light, a stack of forms with a new line added, third read completed YN, and a bailiff writing Y without ceremony, the ink drying into policy. What sticks? Outside, the city pretended it wasn't raining. Inside, a clerk pinned a laminated card to a corkboard. A ritual. 1 first read file. 2 second read routine. 3 third read what's missing, who's tired, what rain didn't make the report. Underneath in black marker someone had added, apologies are receipts, repair is policy. A janitor straightened the card as if it were a picture frame. He didn't know the commission chair's name. He didn't need to, he only knew the room felt different, lighter, like a machine tuned by a hand that loved honesty more than applause. Imani stepped into the hallway's wash of fluorescent, the hum in her bones matching the building. She didn't look back, she never had to, the ritual would stay. And in a small garage under a cracked billboard, a man named Marcus wiped his hands and tuned an engine until it purred like a verdict that had finally learned how to be fair.